Well, I caulked all around that pipe where it enters the barn. Also, I wanted you to note that I did secure this pipe to the barn, so that's good. Alright, well, I'm continuing to strip this wire, and I took my utility knife and went around this outer covering here. This is the exterior wire, and I'm not sure if it's 12-2 or 14-2, but I went around it, and then I strip off this part here because I can't use it. Makes it too stiff. And I do have a wire stripper, but for this task I found that I couldn't use it because it doesn't have any holes big enough. So I have to do each one of these individually, and I'm just very careful, and then I'll put this into the box that I have here mounted on the wall. Like I said, I'm not a professional electrician, but I have done lots of wiring, so now this is where your wire stripper can be useful. I plan to hook these wires to other wires and then string them throughout the barn. So I determined that one of these is going to just strip these wires off. This one happens to be, let's see if I can find the gauge here. It looks to be about 14. I'm not sure if that's gauge or what it is, what 14 means, but it may be the type of wire that I'm using here. But you just line it up with the 14 and then strip them. On this particular job, I'm going to leave about between 3/4 of an inch and 5/8. Once you get it cut, you can use your pliers or something to get it off there. I think I'm going to have to strip this one a little bit more here. I suppose the wire strippers that I have aren't the greatest. Alright, well, I got all three of them stripped then. Alright, another thing that I want to show you is, if I can get closer here, put this a little bit up. Turn it a bit. another thing that I did here was this right here on the top. That's to hold your Romex in place. And I've got one also on the bottom. So right now I'm going to tighten that up, the one on the bottom. So they don't usually give you a choice on whether you want a straight screwdriver or Phillips. So, well, I guess I take that back. They do give a choice here, and I prefer to use my Phillips screwdriver. All right, now I've got that secured. I did have to use my straight one because I forgot that I put an old one on there. Not sure if those are called keepers or what they are called, but in any case, they secure the Romex. So we'll turn it off now. What I'm doing now is I'm putting these staples to secure the wire, and so I've already got one of them started, and I've been using my pliers to hold it. But this is the old timber frame of the old barn, and you can see that it's got holes in it and all kinds of stuff, and it's hand hewn the way they used to do it, with a very broad axe, and I'm not sure if it's called a broad axe or not. So I'm going to go and staple this whole thing, this 14-2 wire. Well, up here, maybe you can see it, maybe you can't, but I've got staples like this into the wood. And the reason why I put these staples in so that it will hold the wires in the place that I want them. And then I got it over here, got a staple there. That one is pretty crooked, but I did the best I could. And then I've got the termination here on this wire here, and I'm going to put a box there. Here's the box that I have. And I have a cable clamp at the top, which is right there. And the way that you put those on is that you put the two screws at the top, and then in here there's a small ring right here, and you have to pound it tight. I put it on my bench and pounded it tight. You turn it this way, push down right here. Same way on the other end. I've got another ring, this ring right here on the outer part of it, and then the two screws go at the top. Okay, well, here's my new box mounted. I've got a screw here and then one over here. They give you 4 screws if you want to overdo it and put a bunch of screws in there. That's up to you. Also, this staple here, I've got a hole drilled, small hole right here, right below where my finger is. And I take this, put it in here like this, and then press it to mark where my next hole is going to be. Sometimes I pound it in a little. But now I know where my next hole is going to be for my staple. And so I'll drill it right there. You might have to drill it kind of deep because this is old work. This is an old barn, very hard wood. As you can see, these pieces of wood have been sawn with a circular saw, and the same way down here on this one here. So I'll put that staple in, staple it down, and then as you can see here, I've got probably 6 to 8 inches. It's going to be coming out of the box so that I have enough to work with. Okay, well, I've already got this outlet on here. Alright. Now these wires over here, I already got them, and I want them to wind around the screw in the right direction. So I bent them up. Now this one is on the opposite side. These are the brass colored screws, and if you see, these are the silver colored ones. So they have the white on them. And I also hooked up the ground to this other wire here, or to this ground here. There's usually on modern outlets, there's usually a ground if you look for it. Alright, this one, I turned those up on the other side. This one, I'm going to turn it down. Just grab a hold of the end of it. I put a little bit more than a 45 on it. Or approximately a 45. Because that's the way I want it. You got to hold your wire on there while you're screwing it down. You got to make sure your wires are on there securely, because if you don't, you'll go hooking it up. One of your wires will come loose and be grounded, and when that happens, you get all kinds of sparks. So now you're going to bend the wires to go into the box. I decided that I would have this particular outlet like this up here. And then I'll plug everything in up here. Alright, another thing is that this sort of D-shaped entrance here, entrance hole, that's for the ground, and I got that facing up. But some people don't like it like that. So now I'm going to start this screw in. It's cold out here, but I got my gloves off. Then start screwing your screws in. I have a great variety of screws out here, so not too worried about it. Some of these screws are like this one here, with a taper on it. It's very difficult for me to hold it. It's got a taper on it. These are the best kind of screws to use. If you don't have any, I would suggest that you go buy them, because they're handy for electrical work. Then I'm going to put a what's called a wall plate over this.